The next woman who speaks up in this room better be worth more than the shoes she's wearing. The words rolled out of Soren Cade's mouth like venom, slicing through the velvet-lit ballroom. The laughter that followed wasn't just cruel, it was contagious, bouncing off crystal chandeliers and polished marble floors. Cameras flashed, capturing the smirk on his face as he leaned back in his chair, glass of champagne dangling between two fingers. All around, executives and socialites joined in, their whispers rising like static. At the edge of the gala, Amara Lewis stood frozen, clutching her cleaning rag, her navy uniform marking her as invisible. But her jaw tightened, eyes locked on the stage where contracts worth billions were about to be signed. Unknown to them all, she carried something heavier than their laughter, a pocket notebook stuffed with numbers, overheard deals, and one fatal inconsistency she'd been waiting for the courage to reveal. The laughter lingered in Amara's ears as she bent back to her work, her face turned away so no one could see the sting in her eyes. A waiter passing by muttered under his breath, "She should be grateful just to breathe this air," and the words pierced deeper than the polished silver cutlery glinting under the lights. Amara wasn't new to humiliation, every shift at the hotel taught her how to be invisible, how to swallow pride until it burned like acid in her chest. But tonight was different. She had seen the spreadsheets left open on a forgotten laptop in the VIP lounge. She had heard whispered calls about false certifications, and she had written it all down in that worn notebook tucked inside her apron. Still, doubt gnawed at her. Who would believe a housekeeper over men in $1,000 suits? She thought of her daughter asleep at home, the bills stacked on the counter, the college applications she might never afford. Her hands trembled slightly as she refilled a crystal glass, the sound of liquid pouring drowned out by another round of laughter. For the first time in years, Amara felt the pull between silence that kept her safe and truth that could break her wide open. Tonight, she couldn't choose both. The gala reached its peak, spotlights trained on the long mahogany table where the billion-dollar merger would be sealed. Reporters crowded closer, microphones raised, the hum of anticipation thick in the air. Grant Mercer cleared his throat, ready to sign, while Soren Cade leaned forward, savoring his victory. That was when Amara's voice cut through the noise, steady but sharp. "Excuse me, which certification board approved the safety tests you keep mentioning?" The room fell into silence, 1,000 eyes snapping toward the woman in the Navy housekeeping uniform. Soren's smirk faltered for the first time. He waved a dismissive hand. "Irrelevant. Sit down, maid." But Amara didn't move. Her fingers gripped the small notebook, pages filled with exact dates, codes, and names she had gathered. "Because the board you listed doesn't exist. It was dissolved 3 years ago." Gasps rippled across the hall. A reporter shouted, "Is this true?" Cameras zoomed in, broadcasting every twitch on Soren's face. Grant's pen hovered in the air, his signature frozen. The merger, the billion-dollar empire, everything balanced on the words of the woman they had tried to erase. Chaos erupted. Journalists surged forward, questions colliding in the air like breaking glass. Soren shot to his feet, his polished confidence cracking. "Lies. She's just a janitor, she knows nothing." But the microphone he'd forgotten to mute betrayed him, echoing his earlier brag to a colleague, "Relax, the board's a shell company I funded. No one will dig that deep." The playback from the speakers silenced the room. Reporters swiveled, eyes wide. Grant Mercer turned pale, realizing the trap he had almost signed into. One executive slammed his folder shut, whispering, "This could bring the SEC down on us." Amara held her ground, the notebook trembling only slightly in her hands. From the side of the ballroom, a woman in a gray blazer stepped forward, Maya Ortiz, a respected investigative journalist and, unbeknownst to the crowd, Amara's former classmate. She raised her phone, projecting leaked emails onto the giant screen behind the stage, transfers, forged seals, and proof of Soren's fraudulent scheme. The air shifted. The housekeeper who had been mocked seconds ago now stood at the center, dismantling a billion-dollar fraud with a single question and the courage to be heard. The ballroom no longer echoed with laughter but with the furious clicks of cameras and the low murmur of disbelief. Security escorted Soren out as reporters trailed behind, shouting questions that would soon dominate headlines. Grant Mercer adjusted his tie, his eyes lingering on Amara with something between shame and respect. He walked to the microphone, voice unsteady. "This woman just saved us from ruin. From this day forward, no one in this company will ever be invisible again." Applause broke out, hesitant at first, then swelling until it filled the room. Amara's knees weakened, but she stood taller, the weight of years of silence lifting from her shoulders. For once, she wasn't just a uniform or a shadow in the corner. She was the reason the truth had surfaced. When she returned home that night, she opened her daughter's door quietly. The girl stirred, whispering in her sleep about college and dreams. Amara smiled, a tear sliding down her cheek. She finally understood, dignity wasn't given, it was claimed. And in that ballroom, under the glare of the world's eyes, she had claimed it, for herself, for her child, and for everyone ever told they didn't belong.